I am invincible! Invincible! You ow!
Oh, hell no!
All right! Anything you say is shit!
So what you saying?
I think you 5-0.
5-0. Man, I ain't no motherfucking cop.
Well, hit this motherfucker then.
I can feel it. Yeah, and you don't stop.
Cause it's 187 on an undercover car.
Yeah, and you don't stop.
Cause it's 187 on an undercover car.
Anything you say is shit!
Peace. And the motherfucking fuck police. You already know I give a fuck about a cop. So why in the fuck would you think that it would stop? Plot. Yeah, that's what we about to do. Take your ass on a mission with the boys in blue. Dre, what up, Snoop? Yo, I got the feeling. Tonight's the night like Betty Wright, and I'm chilling, killing, feeling, no remorse. Yeah, so let's go straight to the motherfucking source and see what we can find. Crooked ass cops that be getting niggas a gang of time, and now they wanna make a deal with me. Scoop me up and put me on their team and chill with me and make my pockets bigger. They wanna meet with me tonight at 7 o'clock. So what's up, nigga? What you want?
You son of a bitch!
I got the gauge, a Uzi, and my motherfucking 22. So if you wanna blast, nigga, we can buck 'em. If we stick 'em, then we stuck 'em. So fuck.
Yeah, and you don't stop.
Cause it's 187 on an undercover car.
Grand Theft Auto is a British video game series and one of the best-selling game franchises of all time. Given where the series is today, it may be rather difficult to believe that the series has comparatively humble roots, and that the company that made it wasn't always big enough to be called AAA. Today, we will be diving into this series' history, and where it began, and how that all led up to the GTA that you're probably more familiar with. Grand Theft Auto traces its roots back to a British video game studio in Dundee, Scotland, called DMA Design. They weren't irrelevant by any means, but they weren't quite Nintendo either. They had made a number of video games that were commercially and critically successful, but none of them could ever have predicted the success and fame that GTA would bring them. The year was 1996. A member of DMA Design's crew came up with the idea for an open-world driving game. His idea was quite radical by the standards of the time. Back in those days, most video games still had you progress through levels towards beating the game. DMA Design was now in the process of making a game that gave its players an entire city to explore, one that the player could traverse through completely free of the game's directions if they wished to. The game's story wasn't as ambitious, though. The player would play as a police officer, traveling across the city to catch criminals. The working title that DMA gave their semi-ambitious project was Race and Chase. Sounds like a far cry from what the series would become, right? Well, during development, DMA's programmers realized that constantly having to obey traffic laws and work within the boundaries of the law was boring and far too restrictive. No potential player would enjoy such a premise. So gradually during development, the team began tossing around the idea of changing the game up so that the protagonist was not a cop, but rather a criminal. And the ideas began to expand from there. Since their original plans for the game involved awarding the player for doing good things as a cop, they reasoned that a game where the player is a criminal should award the player for bad behavior. The player could steal automobiles, run over old ladies, and not only would they not be punished for it, they would get points for it. In the gaming environment of that time period, where games were a lot more heavily policed than they are today, making a game that violent would run the tremendous risk of getting censored in many markets, potentially harming the game's quality in some releases. But the team at DMA Design decided to roll with it. Grand Theft Auto was released to the world in 1997. The graphics were a bit dated even by the standards of the time period, but the game's sense of freedom, comically violent gameplay, and general fun more than made up for it. The game features 3 fictional American cities, all of which are parodies of real-world ones. They are Liberty City, based on New York, San Andreas, based on San Francisco, and Vice City, based on Miami. Many of GTA 1's gameplay elements remain true in contemporary installments of the series. The player can jack any car off the street at any time, and can then use that car to wreak havoc, running over pedestrians and causing massive fiery crashes at their own will. None of the cars can be bought legitimately or upgraded under the hood, but chances are, in a game like this, you probably wouldn't use those features very much if they were there. Each of the cars also features different performance stats. Oddly, the police cars are some of the very fastest cars in the entire game, despite them clearly being Chevrolet Caprices and other vehicles that aren't extremely fast in real life. They probably made it that way so that the cops would be hard to escape regardless of what car you were driving. One neat thing about GTA 1 is the fact that all the cars in the game look exactly like their real-world counterparts. Newer GTA games are generally known for having cars that resemble real-life cars, but don't look 100% accurate to the real car they're mimicking, likely so that the car companies won't get pissed and sue them. I guess car companies don't seem to like it when you depict their cars mowing down old ladies for some reason. But, oddly enough, the car sprites in GTA 1 appear to look exactly the same as the real-life cars they're trying to be. Now, granted, they are viewed from the top down, but still. The game's British heritage is also made clear by the inclusion of several cars unique to the UK market that most Americans likely haven't heard of, such as the Ford Escort RS Cosworth and the Ford Mondeo. GTA 1's gameplay is notoriously difficult once you're out of the car, though. Unlike newer GTA games, which allow the player to soak up a number of bullets before it kills them, a single shot is enough to kill you in GTA 1. Guns are also notoriously difficult to aim due to the control setup, something that would see great improvement as the series went on. DMA Design also gave players several different radio stations to listen to, since they knew that players would likely have different tastes in music to cater to. And while they were at it, they gave GTA 1 possibly the most badass theme song I have ever heard in a game. Take a listen.
Determination to steal what you can and run from the nation. Hey, what do you say? We automate the secret to speed from our getaway. Take it to the edge, there's nowhere to hide, and call up the boy. Let's go for the joyride.
Can't deny that's a banger. Grand Theft Auto was a massive commercial and critical success, and it is likely the game that put DMA Design on the map and made them the important studio they now are. However, just as many of DMA Design's team members predicted, releasing such a violent video game did in fact stir up controversy amongst those who deemed the violence too much. Christian conservative groups in particular condemned the game as shamelessly promoting violence and murder to children, despite the game never once being marketed to kids. Ironically, the moral panic around GTA may be one of the biggest reasons for the game's commercial success, because DMA Design took the opportunity to use the moral panic as free advertising for the game. With the enormous success of GTA 1, DMA Design immediately got to work on potential sequels and expansion packs. The very first one they came up with was GTA London 1969. To this day, this is the only Grand Theft Auto title to be set in a real-world location. It's also the only GTA title to date set in a country other than the United States. Kind of ironic given the series itself is British. While GTA London 1969 played like its own separate game, it was in reality an expansion pack for GTA 1 that required a copy of GTA 1 to function. Gameplay-wise, it was similar to vanilla GTA 1, but with many improvements. Several bugs and glitches were fixed, and sounds were made higher quality. The different radio stations available to listen to in GTA London 1969 all play music appropriate to the time period, and, just like in GTA 1, all the automobiles appear to look completely identical to their real-world counterparts. When you're a car enthusiast like me, though, you can't help but notice a few things. Namely that certain cars in the game are depicted as being either slower or faster than they should be in real life, and that certain ones were built after the game's setting. For example, one of the cars featured in the game is a 1973 Renault. Remember, the game's setting is in 1969, so that's technically a car from the future at that time. Not to mention, the Jaguar E-Type isn't nearly as fast and agile as it ought to be, and neither is the Aston Martin DB5 or Jaguar Mark II. But this isn't something you would notice unless you were as big of a car nut as me. The police in GTA London 1969 drive Ford Escorts, which is impressively historically accurate to London at the time. But just like in GTA 1, the police cars themselves are among the very fastest cars in the entire game. I know that Ford Escorts driven by the police were likely tuned up to catch speeders easily, but I have my doubts they could keep up with Jaguar E-Types and sports cars in that league. But surely enough, they can here. The game's map of London is very condensed, and the street map is anything but accurate. It more so reminds me of how an American city would be laid out than a British one. But despite this, it still manages to look right, per se. And most of London's famous landmarks are included in the map. Not to mention, they are also located in the areas of the map that correspond to their real-life locations in the city. The map may be very condensed, but it still roughly corresponds to real-life central London. There's Big Ben, Buckingham Palace, the Tower Bridge, the Battersea Power Station, the Tower of London, you name it, and they are all in their accurate locations relative to each other. Just like GTA 1, there's plenty of humor in the game too, with comedic dialogue from the radio DJs on each station, as well as this happening when you run over a group of the Mons. The game is also notable for its heavy use of British slang in the characters' dialogue.
I've heard you're a bit tasty. No messing around or you get a slap. Remember, I'm the monkey and you're the cheese grater, so no messing around.
Now, everybody's heard some British stock phrases before. Many American TV shows feature British characters saying silly-sounding things in between sentences that just sound British. But the thing with this game that makes it unique is that 99% of the slang they use is actual slang used in the UK, especially so at the time of the game's setting. And I'm not ashamed to admit that this game taught me a lot of British slang that I now use in polite conversation. Frankly, I quite enjoy it. The game was successful enough to warrant a prequel, GTA London 1961, but said prequel was not extremely well received. For one thing, GTA London 1961 made absolutely no alterations to the map whatsoever, so it just felt like a shameless copy-paste. Not to mention, its story was extremely short, and seeing as how it was an expansion pack of an expansion pack, it's not hard to see why it was infamously buggy and glitchy. Granted, London 1961 did add a few new cars to the mix, though. Ironically, remember how I mentioned that there were a few cars that weren't appropriate for a 1969 setting in GTA London 1969? Well, about that, GTA London 1961 takes this a notch higher, as it has even more cars that would not have existed yet at the time of the game's setting. The most blatant example being the Vauxhall Guildsman, which was a concept car that you can nonetheless find driving around London in significant numbers. If you have any Matchbox toys from the 1970s, you'll know the Guildsman. Grand Theft Auto 2. The first true sequel to GTA 1 was released to the world properly in 1999. This wasn't just another expansion pack, it was a new game entirely, and GTA 2 serves as the origin of many of GTA's most iconic features. GTA 2 ran by the product tagline, "Respect is everything," and it very much lived up to that tagline. The gameplay didn't appear too different from GTA 1 and GTA London at a glance, but when you sat down and played it, you found you were playing a completely new beast. The game gave you the option to play for any one of several different gangs, and the more work you did for a specific gang, the more they respected you, and the less their enemies did. GTA 2's respect dynamic was one of the biggest things that set it apart from previous titles. The ability to play for opposite sides and potentially swap to the other side if you felt like it was a far cry away from the much less flexible stories of GTA 1 and GTA London. And if your respect with a gang dropped too low, they would shoot you on sight. It's set in a fictional American city called, get this, Anywhere City, which appears to be suffering from the effects of late-stage laissez-faire capitalism. A massive megacorporation called Zaibatsu basically owns the city, and the protagonist has turned to crime with the intention of making enough money just to leave the city. In your pursuit, Zaibatsu is ironically one of the people the game allows you to work for. It all depends on what you end up choosing. Anywhere City is very cyberpunky in nature, with many of the buildings looking somewhat retro-futuristic, and 90% of the cars are classic. And when I say classic, I mean cars that were mostly built prior to 1980. The oldest cars in the game are from the late 1930s, while the newest ones seem to be from the late 70s. It's also one of the very few video games I have personally played that has a Toyota 2000 GT in it, a very underrated car in my opinion. The radio stations in GTA 2 play a good mix of music from hard rock and roll to 50s revival. Many songs were made exclusively for the game, such as my favorite track in the game, The Diner, a 50s revival song performed by the amusingly named fictitious band Tammy Bonus and the Swingin' Mammaries.
I ordered a coffee and something to eat. I wasn't hungry, but I couldn't sleep. I found this place feeling sad as can be. But now I'm good 'cause he's looking at me. Looking at me.
On the topic of humor, it is worth mentioning that GTA 2 had plenty of it. GTA 1 and GTA London were both smothered in comedic bits as well, with funny commentary from radio DJs and dark humor sprinkled about the game. But GTA 2 is where the satire that would come to define the series really began to appear. On top of this, one of the funniest things in the entire game is the fact that there's a group of Elvis Presley impersonators walking across Anywhere City, and if the player kills them, this happens. Sadly, despite DMA Design putting a mountain of effort into GTA 2, many critics complained that it still felt too similar to GTA 1 and GTA London. GTA 2 was reasonably successful, but it didn't reach the mountain of critical and sales success that its predecessors did. Despite this, DMA Design made the decision to go ahead with development of a third installment in the series. By golly, if critics wanted a different experience altogether, they were gonna get it. Everything changed with GTA 3.